Thanks for coming all this way in the snowstorm. I really appreciate it. From what I've heard, this is like your first major storm of the winter. Is that right? This is like a normal day where I come from. So we get storms like this twice a week. So I'm kind of used to it at this point.
From where?
I live just north of Boston. So in Maine. I work in New Hampshire. So our office is about an hour from Boston. So if anyone's come into the New England area, you'll have to stop in and see us at some point during your stay. So my name is Mallory. I work for GeoVisions. So we are one of the sponsors, one of the many sponsors with the work and travel program in the United States. And I am here to learn about your culture and talk with you and hopefully change your life, because this program is such a life-changing event. And so I'm just going to go over some basics with you about the program, which I'm sure you already know, but just want to reiterate for you guys so you know. Partners in a successful cultural exchange. It takes a team to do this, okay? You need your agency. You need your host company, you need us as a sponsor, and you're a major part of this. You know, all the effort you put into this is all the effort you're going to get back. So if you work hard, you have a lot of fun, you're going to have a great cultural experience in the United States. So some of the responsibilities that your agency provides, they are there to give you accurate information about the program, setting your expectations. They help prepare you for your trip. So once you get a job offer, they will help you with the application process, they'll help you with your flights and your embassy appointment, all of that. Like I said, they help you with the embassy and your travel, and they coordinate with GeoVisions. So they are our main contact before you arrive to the United States. So if there's any issues, like say you lost your DS form and you need to go get a new one before you come, they let us know all of that information. They also tell us about your flights, so we can let your host company know when you're arriving. You know, they kind of need to know that. And they also collect your program fees, so they take care of that. Your employer responsibilities, they are there to make sure that you have good working conditions. And a lot of the host companies that you guys are interviewing for with me today, we've already done that. We know that they're reputable, that they'll pay you in a paycheck, that they are going to take good care of you and show you around the town that you're living, all of that. We expect them to treat you just like they would any American coworker, okay? So if you are hired as an entry-level housekeeper, an American hired as an entry-level housekeeper will be making the same as you and expect the same responsibilities, okay? They try to give you on average the hours estimated on your job offer. So that's a big thing. So they say 32 to 40 hours on average. There might be a couple slow weeks where you get a little bit less than that, but there could be some really crazy busy weeks where you get more than that. So that's what they mean when they say average. So the minimum wage in the United States is $7.25 per hour. So you will be making at least that, regardless of your job. If it says server and you're making $4 plus tips, if you don't make a lot of tips that day, you get bumped up to make the minimum wage. They need to follow all state and federal labor laws. That's a big one. They also talk to us. They let us know how your program's going, if something's not quite going right, if you're late a lot, they let us know. And so we kind of know about your program and your work status at the same time that you guys are finding out as well. They encourage you to go out and visit local sites. They recommend places for you to visit and go see anywhere. Like if you have a couple days off, they can be like, hey, you know, hop on this bus and you can head down to Boston for the weekend or whatever. They'll help you with all of that if you have questions. And they also make sure you're working alongside Americans, because that's a big point of the program. So you get to practice your English, you get to learn about the American culture, and you get to share your culture with us while you're there. Oops. Some of my responsibilities as your sponsor, we are your first point of contact. If you ever have any concerns, any issues, you can contact us. You can contact your host company if it's more specifically related to your job, but we are always there to help you 24 hours a day, okay? We look at emails all the time. We have an emergency phone line in case there's an emergency. We are there 24 hours a day for you. And we're here to support you. If you are having some issues, some concerns, we're there to listen and to help you get them resolved. If you're not getting enough hours and your host company knows you're not going to get enough hours on your program, we'll help you move through the process of finding a new job, helping you with all of that. We need to know how to contact you at all times. So that is your address, your email address, any US phone number that you have. You need to make sure that you update us if anything like that changes. Like I said, we're on call 24 hours a day. We provide you guys with medical insurance. So if you do need to go to the doctor or if something happens and you need to go to the emergency room, you do have health insurance that you can use. So every month, in the middle of the month, we ask you to do what we call a monthly check-in. It basically just asks questions about what you've been up to, all the cool things you've done, any problems you have, and we make sure to read every single one, okay? And we find you a good employer. A lot of the ones you're interviewing, all of the ones that you're interviewing for are really good employers. And so if you are looking for a second employer, like a second job, that would be something that we could help with. We have to make sure they're reputable, that they're not going to pay you in coupons. That's not allowed. We don't want that. You're working hard for your money and you want to keep that money. So we help you through all of these processes. So your responsibilities, this is the big one, okay? Make sure you go to your host company that you got a job offer for and stay till your end date. That's a big one. So if you say you're going to work until September 30th, you got to work until September 30th. If your classes start October 1st, you just don't get a travel period. So if that's something that you're thinking about, that you want like a week to travel, consider that with your end date, okay? So I would suggest thinking about that today, and if you want to change any of your dates, we can do that. But it's something to think about so you don't leave early. Your host company's counting on you to be there until the date you said you're going to be there for. Once you guys are hired, make sure you research the area where you're going to be living and working. It's good to go to Google Maps and just kind of like look around and see what's in the area. Go to every town and city has like a Chamber of Commerce and they list all kinds of events happening in the area. So it's important to kind of research the area and see where you're going to be living. When you arrive, okay, you got to check in with us. This activates a whole series of events when you check in with us. You send us your address. We update your CVIS record to say that yes, you've arrived, you're starting your program, you're here, you're ready to go, okay? A couple days later, that activates Social Security's database. So then you're allowed to apply for your Social Security number. That's important because while you're working, the government's taking some taxes out of your paycheck, state and federal taxes. And at the end of the year or next year, when you go to file your taxes, you get some of that back, okay? But the only way you can get that back is if you apply for your Social Security number, all right? So that's how the whole process works, so that you need to be checked into CVIS in order to apply for your Social Security card. And your host companies are really required to have that on file, so it's important that you get that for them. Like I said about the monthly check-in, make sure you do that with us every month that you're in the country. And so we can check in with you, see how things are going with your program, all of that. Contact us if you have any problems. Do not hesitate to reach out to us with any questions you have. That's what we're here for. That's why we're your sponsor. If you leave your job or change your work location or find a new job, any second job, third job, hopefully not a fourth job, you just have to tell us about that. So it's for your safety that we ask you to tell us about all these updates, okay? We are ultimately responsible for you while you're here, well, while you're in the US, not here, in the US, and so we want to make sure that you're working or finding second jobs at reputable companies, okay? Like I said, we don't want them to pay you in coupons or food or anything like that. You're working hard for that money and we want to make sure that you get it, okay? Like I said, second jobs. Make sure that you're engaging in cultural activities. Cultural activities don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be major concerts or sporting events. They can be having a picnic in a park or going to like a farmer's market. Any of those things would count as a cultural activity. And we have lists of things that you can do, lots of ideas. Like I said, if you change your address or your phone number or your email address, let us know. We need to be able to get in contact with you at all times in case of an emergency. There's been like hurricanes that have come through the United States. Most recently last year there was a big one in Texas. So we needed to know how to get in touch with all those students to make sure they were safe. And so that's why it's important that we know how to get in contact with you. When you get your DS form, you guys are going to get an ID card. Make sure you keep that with you. Keep it in your wallet. I also suggest taking a photo of your passport or any of your forms and keeping that on you instead of your passport in case your bag gets stolen. Then you don't have to worry about all that. But at least then you'll have some documentation on you in case something happens. Obviously, obey the laws. That's a given. And then make sure you read your handbook. There is lots of information in that handbook as well. And you can find all that information on mygeovisions.org. That's where everything is located. Any questions you'll have, program rules, handbook, insurance information, all of that is right there. About your jobs. So in the first couple weeks, you're just going to be trained. So your hours may be low because you're training. And so you're going to have to be shadowing other people when they're available. So your hours might be low. And so you want to bring some money with you to cover your expenses. You could start June 1st, we'll just say, for example, June 1st, but you might not get paid for 2 or 3 weeks after that because of the way payroll works. So you want to make sure you have some money to cover all your expenses while you're here. Some food, your rent, that sort of thing. So it's good to have some money with you. A lot of times your host company wants you to rest before you start working. So if you arrive on June 1st and your job offer says June 2nd, they might push it back a day or two just to give you some time to rest and acclimate to the time change and all of that. Because I know I've been here for 3 days and I still can't get used to the time difference where I'm from. So it's good to have a couple days to rest and kind of settle in. And your paycheck might be small because of the few hours that you're working. It's important to make sure that you are on time. If you're going to be late, each host company has a policy on how you're going to be late, or what to do if you're late, what to do if you're going to call in sick. And everyone really likes to laugh at this because, you know, coming to the U.S., it's the summertime, you're meeting a lot of new people, you want to have fun and go out and drink. Drinking age is 21, I'm just going to say that. So being hungover is not really an excuse for calling in sick, okay? If you know that you're going to be working the next day, maybe don't stay out so late. You know, it's a given. Make sure that you're asking your host company questions. If you have any questions about anything going on, they want you to ask questions so that you can understand their processes, and they want to make sure that you get it right the first time. They'll let you know about your pay schedule. A lot of times it's every 1 to 2 weeks, and so you just want to make sure that you know when you're going to get paid. Sometimes it's possible that you might be moved to a different department. Say you're working in housekeeping, they might ask you to help with laundry, folding laundry, doing washing sheets and all that. So it's pretty typical for them to move you around a little bit. So it's good to be flexible with that. It's probably to make sure that you get enough hours, or they might just need some help. And so it's all about being a team with your host company and helping them out as much as you can. And have a positive attitude. It's really good to talk with them every so often, have a positive attitude, smile, and just enjoy what you guys are doing, because it's, like I said, it is a life-changing event, so it's pretty exciting that you guys are coming on this program. I already explained the estimated average hours per week, so if there's any questions about that, I can answer those. What happens if you get fired? Hopefully this doesn't happen. But sometimes if things happen, if you're not meeting expectations, you could be let go. You need to let us know as soon as possible, okay? We need to know what's going on with your program. So if you are let go from work, you need to let us know so we can help you move along in the process of your program. A lot of times we'll let you find a new job. So if you get fired, usually that's your responsibility to find a new job. And do not, if you're feeling unsafe in a situation, sometimes if your host company provides housing and you're fired, that means you're also going to be losing your housing, okay? So in that situation, you would need to find new housing. But if you don't feel safe leaving and finding new housing, you have to let us know, okay? And again, you can't start working for a new job until we have all the documentation that we need. There's a number of jobs you're not allowed to do when in the United States. You are not allowed to babysit children. You can't, there's a ton of them. You can't work overnight graveyard shift hours. So have you heard of a graveyard shift? Do you guys know what that means? No. Okay, so graveyard shift means it's an overnight shift. So you work from like 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. That sort of job is not allowed, okay? You need to be working either in the mornings or the afternoons or the nights. So you can work into 10 p.m., you just can't work that overnight time frame. And I can explain that further if you need help with that. If you find a second job, you have to have a job offer filled out. It'll look exactly like the one that you get from this host company that hires you, your primary. So it'll look just like that, and you just need to have that filled out with them. And again, if you work somewhere before GeoVisions approves it, it's unauthorized employment, and that's a big no-no with the State Department. So then you're getting the government involved, and we don't want you guys to get in trouble for anything like that, okay? Housing, sometimes an employer provides housing, sometimes you have to find it on your own. So just make sure you sign any or read any documentation before you sign it. Your rental rate is usually either per week or per month, depending on how they do that. And just make sure you keep it clean and respect the property. So take out the trash, do the dishes. You don't want bugs to show up in your kitchen and your housing, because then that becomes a bigger issue. If you have any issues that are going on, like your roommates aren't cleaning up, but you are, talk to them, talk to me, talk to your landlord. We can get it all kind of sorted, figured out. Make sure it's in a safe area with locks. You want to make sure you can lock your housing and it's not overcrowded. Everyone should have a bed. There should be enough bathrooms for everybody. Little things like that. If you end up moving, again, just let us know. And make the most out of this trip. I mean, this is a really cool opportunity to come to the United States for a couple months and enjoy where you're living and use your days off. I know it's hard when you're working so hard the other days of the week and you just want to rest on your 1 day off or 2 days off, but it's really good to kind of get out and enjoy your local area. And there are tons of travel opportunities, bus, train, to get to other cities locally.